Okay, hi guys. I am back with my next tutorial. Uh, Thank you so much for giving me so much love and so much appreciation. We are almost to 80 subscribers now. When I had started, I had not expected this. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful to you for all your appreciation that you have given me. And I got a few messages as I keep getting of juniors and of colleagues asking me questions or appreciating me or telling me what else I can do. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback. It helps me to perform better, to incorporate more things. So I would always encourage you to please a constructive form of criticism or any feedback that you want to give me is always welcome. You can most of the people have contacted me on the Facebook or the Messenger. All right. The last video was on imprint cytology and clot section. It is a very short video, but it is a very important video in the diagnostics. Most of the people might not feel the importance of that video as far as exams are concerned, but those who are practicing pathology, the last video can be very helpful to you because that video I have made on my experience of imprint cytology and clot sections, and I have incorporated a few things that I did as an innovative procedure, whatever जिसे इंडिया में we call it the जुगाड़ technology in the imprint and the clot section, using stains or a combination of stains or a way of staining them or a way of making them, which would yield maximum results, especially in cases where the marrow was completely hemodiluted and you needed the report fast. So if you have not seen that video, please go to the one previous on my channel. Please share and subscribe and like if you like the videos. And without wasting any more time, let us start with this one. Now, quite a few of you had requested me or had asked me, suggested that I should make something on a bone marrow biopsy troubleshoot. Uh, I was going to, and I have now made it, and I've changed the color and the picture also a bit. Let's see how it works out when I try and convert this into a video. So what I'm going to be doing today, bone marrow biopsy in itself is a big topic. Again, as I said, I have no intentions of teaching you because textbooks are there for that. My intention only is to deal with the pitfalls, the points which no one either points out or discusses, or which might not be something of a problem for a senior or someone who's been practicing biopsies, bone marrow biopsies for a long time. But as a starter, it is a problem for us. So those points which I learned by going through publications, by going through books, I am just trying to comprise those and bring to you in these short tutorials of same. I'll try and keep it half an hour so that those things stick over here. Even if 10% of this sticks, doesn't matter. The job is done because you keep learning as you see the thing. ऐसा नहीं है कि today you see this and you'll become a master. So that is not going to happen. But yes, even 10% of this entire tutorial, if you can retain, then my job is done over here. So without any further, intro, let me just begin. See, I had already taken the methodology of doing bone marrow biopsy in the last two tutorials, the aspirate as well as the last imprint tutorial. So I am not going to be repeating that. I am only going to be incorporating a few things that I had not discussed then because of the length of the lecture. So I had then only mentioned that you can take the biopsy in 10% buffered formalin, or you can take it in Zenker's fluid. Sometimes people take it in Bowen's fluid also, and each of them have their own importance. Fine. Now Zenker's is used for better chelation. I'll tell you, but the chelation property of iron is less when you use Zenker's. I'll tell you what all that is. So that was the fixative. And now let me tell you something about a process known as decalcification. So bone marrow biopsy is processed just like any other histopath biopsy. except the fact that a bone marrow biopsy has to undergo a process known as decalcification before we can put it into the normal routine automated or semi-automated processor or the manual processing that you do. The reason behind that is that it is a bone piece. The bone marrow, part of it is the bony cortex and part of it is the marrow. That bony cortex is extremely hard. So if you put that from the formalin directly into the automated processor, your tissue will not come out as you want it on the blade. The blade will have problems in cutting the tissue. The blade might break because of the hardness of the bone. Even a small 1.5 centimeter adequate biopsy has a piece of part of that cortex which is very hard. So what we try to do in the process of decalcification is we try to soften that bone up by chelating the superficial calcium as much as we can. I am not taking a histopathology processing class right now, so I'm not going to be going into details of how you do it. But there are multiple methods. You can do it by electrolysis method. You can do it by chemicals. There are chelating agents available. There are multiple other methods by which you can do a chelation of the decalcification of the bone marrow biopsy. Now, for that and how to, I'm just giving a pointer for the PGs. It is a very important question in the Viva that how to decalcify the bone, what are the important methods, and how do you test that the bone has been, that piece has been decalcified. Some people use the bubbling method in electrolysis. Some people test that decalcification fluid by using alkali to see whether salt is being formed, which again can tell you whether calcium is there in that decalcification fluid or not. Some people have also discussed the radiological process to take an X-ray and check that the amount. So there are multiple methods. You can go through any of your histotechnique procedure books like Bancroft or whatever Indian authors are there. And if you want, I'll maybe, if someone wants, someone messages me, I am going to maybe take it up for you if you find it tough. Anyways, I have discussed the most important ways of decal that we use in the routine process. So, one of the most important things that we can do in decalcification is use EDTA, the routine anticoagulant present in our vacutainers. It is 10 to 15% EDTA we can use, and it takes 1 to 3 days to decalcify the bone marrow biopsy. Okay, and why and when we use EDTA? We use EDTA where we need the samples to which we can use in IHC. Supposing lymphoma का metastasis है, sorry, there's a lymphoma, primary or metastatic, या you are suspecting metastasis to be bone marrow, acute leukemias, and you need to put IHC. Then you can use EDTA. Now you would ask me why am I putting it specifically to IHC? रीजन इज IHC में हम सरफेस एंटीजन रिट्रीवल करते हैं. सरफेस या साइटोप्लाज्मिक देयर इज अ स्टेप नोन एज एंटीजन रिट्रीवल. Now when you are using an acid for decalcification, they denature the surface proteins. These surface proteins are those proteins, those markers which we want to study for the IHC. So if you are using something like a strong acid, then आपकी IHC की potency खराब हो जाएगी. You might get a background, you might get weak staining, वो खराब हो जाता है, आपका टिश्यू खराब हो जाता है IHC के लिए. That is why वहाँ पे we can use an EDTA. क्योंकि you all know that EDTA is a chelating agent basically. Okay, routine में what we use is when we are not suspecting कि हमें इसमें IHC करनी पड़ेगी, because आजकल ल्यूकीमिया के लिए फ्लो ही इनफ हो जाता है, is weak acids like formic acids. ये 2 से 3 दिन में करेगा लेकिन टिश्यू डैमेज करता है despite it being a weak acid. What we use हमारे यहाँ पे is nitric acid. It is a strong acid और 4 से 6 घंटे में dilute करना पड़ता है इसको 5 से 10%. We dilute it to 5 to 10%. We put the piece of the bone marrow in a cassette and then we drop that cassette. At least that is what we do. We have those plastic cassettes. We drop that in that decal fluid. Note the time as इतने बजे डाला and from within 4 to 6 hours depending on how long or how thick the piece is, we are going to remove it and then process it routinely like a histopathology processing. Then for specimens which need to go electron microscopic examination, very very rare. But supposing you are doing a project or you want to see some sort of a storage disorder in some features of storage disorder in the bone marrow, then you can go for a resin process to embed and kill it. Okay. So these are the basic processes of decalcification, which you should know as PGs as well as if you're practicing. Moving on. Okay, now coming to the actual topic, which is the how do you examine. Okay, you processed it, normal histopathology automated processor में आपका bone marrow चला, and then you got a section कटा, it got stained with HNE, and then you got the section, and now you have to examine it. So see, here is the importance of an imprint or a clot section, which I had discussed in the last lecture. This takes around 3 days. And then 2 more days to see आपको IHC करनी है, कुछ है प्रॉब्लम, रिसेक्शंस करवाने, स्पेशल स्टेन्स कराने, रेटिकुलम कराना है. So 5 days आपके डायग्नोसिस में लग जाएगा अगर आपका बोन मैरो एस्पिरेट हीमोडाइल्यूटेड है. Hence the last lecture is important where I discussed imprint and clot sections. Sometimes in exams, examiners bring imprints and clot sections, and then you are asked or expected to interpret that. So that way in practical exams, those things become important. So how I go when I examine any histopathology slide, I need to take that when I start taking histopathology. यहाँ पे भी मैं बता दे रही हूँ. I always make it a rule to start from the scanner or the 10x. Go from the low power to the high power. This is not cytology. You have to give an architecture. An aspirate is actually used to determine the cytology of the cells, hematopoietic cells. A biopsy is used to give an idea of the architecture of the marrow. ठीक है, always remember that. And to determine an architecture, you have to always move from the lower power to the higher power, because you have to examine the entire core in its entity, in its total, so that you don't miss anything, so that you can see the adequacy of the core. Grossly, it could be a 2 centimeter marrow, but if 1.8 centimeter of that is just cortex, because some patients have a thick bony cortex, and just say 0.2% of it is marrow, then you cannot report it. It is wrong. It has to not be reported, because it will give you a wrong reporting, and I'll tell you why. It is there further slides. So I always go from a lower power to a higher power. B, now what features do I see? These are, I have just enumerated what you comment upon when you check a bone marrow biopsy. You comment upon the cellularity, the topography of the cells, the hematopoietic and the stromal cells. What cell lines you see, if any other cells, parasites, etc. that you are seeing, mets you are seeing, ये सब low power पे दिखता है. ठीक है. Stromas के कैसा है, vessels कैसे हैं, bony cortex जो trabeculae है वो कैसी है, cartilage to bone ratio कितना है, marrow to fat ratio कितना, I'll tell you all that, and then if you can use it for IFC. Okay, now coming to the practical thing, when I start seeing, मैं पहले देखती हूँ कि जो cortex का area है इतना बड़ा, उसमें कोई problem तो नहीं है, कहीं कुछ issue तो नहीं है, टूटा तो नहीं है, कहीं उसमें कहीं distorted तो नहीं है, biopsy थोड़ा सा marrow element चिपका हो इधर उधर. I go for that. Then I check the bony trabeculae. I show you all that to see any relevant bony disorder like osteopetrosis, giving a marble bone appearance, etc. All that I tell you. Okay. Then what I go for is the interstitium or the actual marrow, and then I see these things in the actual marrow. Okay. Moving ahead. Few points I would like to tell you why I am saying that it is important to see the adequacy. What an adequate marrow is, it's grossly 1.5 centimeter to 2 centimeter and at least having 5 to 7 intertrabecular spaces. 5 to 7 spaces between bony trabeculae होने चाहिए. Some people say 8 to 10. I have a basic of 5 to 7 intertrabecular spaces. ये vary कर सकता है, but 5 से कम तो होने नहीं चाहिए, ज़्यादा ही होने चाहिए 5 से. ठीक है. So then you determine कि हाँ ठीक है, ये marrow adequate. Always remember कि अगर बच्चों की biopsy if you are examining, it will have more cartilage to bone ratio because it is immature. अभी उनका mineralization हो रहा है. So in a pediatric marrow biopsy, you will see areas of more cartilage, less bone. So don't get disturbed by it because that is normal. You have to correlate with the age of the patient. Cellularity, I've told you, have to see the ratio of the marrow elements, the hematopoietic cells, to the adipose tissue which is present in the marrow. As the age progresses, there is more of adipose and less of the hematopoietic element. And then another important pointer I want to give you, that sometimes we want to put iron stain in a biopsy. Ideally you should not do that, because जब आप decal करते हैं ना, तो decalcification में iron gets chelated, it gets removed, lots of it. So until and unless you don't have something like a thalassemia or iron overload, you might not get to see too much of iron. So I prefer doing it on an imprint or a aspirate if the aspirate is cellular enough, if particles are there. So you can use Zenker's fluid, which is a fixative, which will prevent too much iron getting chelated out. So if you want to do a pearl stain on a bone marrow biopsy, you should prefer using Zenker's fluid. Okay, moving ahead. One more thing I forgot to tell you, that in a pediatric marrow, the initial few trabeculae will be hypoplastic. So if you get that, don't label it as hypoplastic marrow. I have mentioned that. Alright. So now let us come to the actual normal histology. These are bony trabeculae and they are completely normal. There is no differentiation of too much blue to pink. If there's too much blue to pink, then that is variable mineralization that you can see, and then that can lead to some confusion. Something known as osteopetrosis. When I'm taking bony disorders in the marrow, I'm going to discuss that. Okay, where you can see some variable bluish areas, then pinkish areas. You are going to understand that the bone is not normal. Okay, these spaces that you see, these are fat spaces. They are normally present in the marrow as per the age of the patient. In one of my lectures, I've already told you 100 minus age is the tentative way of deciding कि इसकी cellularity इतनी होनी चाहिए, which is normal. And these things you see, these bluish pinkish things in the middle, these are hematopoietic and stromal cells. ठीक है? This fat is a part of the stromal component. Now this, if you see, must be around what, 60%, maybe 65%. So this 100, this patient could be 40 years, 45 years. This is how I go by it. Okay, you know, all, and these are the these spaces you have to count at least 5 से ज़्यादा होंगे for you to be able to report them. Okay, I'm telling you the ideal thing. Now I'll just show you a few pics so that these things fit in your mind. When I say we have to look for the marrow cellularity in the biopsy, this is one picture, only the textbook pictures. तो थोड़ा सा the quality might not be very good. You see कितनी cellularity है इस picture में. इस वाले image में, the one which I just took, this I'm rubbing this off now. You can see, I'll take this color. This one. Okay, this one. This color is not very bright. This one. You can see कि ये सिर्फ blue cell से भरा हुआ है. So this is a hypercellular marrow. If this is not a very young child, if it is say someone of my age, then for me this is hypercellular. Again, using the 100 minus age formula for the cellularity determination. Then this is somewhat fine, normocellular for someone my age. Okay, still a bit hypo, but somewhat normocellular. There are fat spaces also. There are hematopoietic cells. This is the bone, looks normal. They are small, these spaces in the bone, if you can appreciate. These are osteocytes, should be present. Abhi I'll show you what are osteocytes and osteoblasts also. This is a bit more fatty. As the age progresses, the fat amount increases and the hematopoietic element amount decreases. Okay, this is more fatty, the older age ka hoga. This is a child ka marrow. You see so much of blue and little bit of pink. There is variable mineralization, and this blue is the cartilage. So this is a very very young child जिसका bone marrow biopsy किया गया for whatever disease they must be suspecting, and this you can see in a young child, so you don't have to get bothered about it. However, if you see this in some other population, then you have to go and think कि ये क्या हो रहा है, some bony problem है, क्या develop हो रहा है यहाँ पे, ठीक है? So this is just a general view of what a bone marrow should be looking like with the cellularity. This is a very good picture in your textbooks. This tells you the hematopoietic elements we all know. The myeloid, the erythroid, the megakaryocytes. with the lymphocytes, plasma cells, macrophages, blasts, etc. All that. Okay, these are the hematopoietic mast cells, etc. But these are not the only cells that are present in the marrow. It's a tissue. There are support structures also present. There are adipose tissue. There are blood vessels. There are fibroblasts and other stromal cells. This forms the support framework of the marrow, जिसमें कि ये hematopoietic cells पड़े रहते हैं. Okay. So this picture shows you the stromal elements because a lot of times there are stromal changes in the marrow, and that you have to report, and they become of diagnostic significance. So here you can see that this is a blood vessel, this is endothelial cell. In this, please see this image, this one. Okay, these are fat cells. This is a megakaryocyte trying to get into the bloodstream. This is how platelets form, come into the bloodstream. There are fibroblasts, there are some hematopoietic cells. Here you can see this is a blood vessel. This entire, this slit-like structure, this is a blood vessel, and it will have endothelial cells as is seen over here. Okay? And these are osteoblasts. This very narrow remain stretched out और मोटे भी दिखते हैं. If actually image थोड़ी छोटी है, I'll just try and maybe highlight from a पतला सा pen. ये देख लो this thing. So these plump cells ऐसे करके you will see them lining the bone. Supposing this is the bone. ठीक है, तो bone से एकदम attached से ऐसे पड़े हुए. These are osteoblasts. ये bone formation में help करते हैं. In bony disorders or in pediatric marrows और जब GCSF therapy मिलती है post chemotherapy के patients को, they get GCSF to raise their counts because chemotherapy marrow suppression करा देता है, marrow के cells कम कर देता है. और अगर उनकी TLC रिकवर नहीं कर रही होती, लुकीमिया लिम्फोमा के पेशेंट्स हैं, तो उनको जी कॉलोनी स्टिमुलेटिंग फैक्टर, ग्रैनुलोसाइटिक कॉलोनी स्टिमुलेटिंग फैक्टर का इंजेक्शन देते हैं. ठीक है, दिस हैपेंस, ऑल दिस हैपेंस इन ट्रीटमेंट. So उस समय the entire marrow starts proliferating, the patient will complain of extreme bone pain. ये cells बन रहे होते हैं, bony osteoblasts, osteocytes और proliferate कर रहे होते हैं. That time bony resorption के लिए आपको giant cell type के यहाँ osteoclasts भी चिपके हुए दिख जाएंगे. और if there are any bone problem है, कोई bone का disorder है, तब भी मिलेंगे. So these are osteoblasts and these are osteocytes. Lacunae-like spaces में एक blue color का nucleus दिखेगा, that is an osteocyte in a bone. If these are absent and you only see these lacunae and no nucleus in it, then that is a dead bone. Commonly can occur when the marrow is having sort of necrosis, चाहे वो chemotherapy induced necrosis हो, TB हो रहा हो, जो bone destroy कर रहा हो, acute leukemia से associated necrosis जो marrow destroy कर रही हो. So these things help you catch कि bone alive है, मतलब कुछ नहीं है, don't have to get worried. Bone dead है, मतलब कोई problem हो रही है, and then you should open your textbook and see कि क्या problem है. Alright? Now, another thing that you have to know when you are reporting a biopsy, another is the abnormal localization of immature precursors, the allele. What is this? This is presence bone marrow में हर erythroid lineage, myeloid lineage या med का जगह specified है, और वो वहीं पे उसका niche है, वहीं पे वो develop करता है, वहीं पे वो grow करता है. Like here I can tell you this picture. अभी एक बार मैं verbally I'll tell you, then I'll show you. Erythroid lineage you see perisinusoidal, marrow में जो vessels होते हैं वैसे ही sinuses होते हैं, vessels and sinuses. All erythroid and megakaryocytic cells, they need to be around these sinuses in the interstitium, so that इनके जो बनेंगे mature forms वो blood में circulate हो सके. Paratrabecular मतलब ये जो cortex है, जो bony cortex है, यहाँ पे छोटा सा दिख रहा है. Supposing this is the bony cortex, so supposing these are the bony trabeculae, ठीक है? Supposing these are the bony trabeculae and this is a vessel and this is a sinus. So the erythroid megakaryocytic lineage इस area में कहीं होंगे. और paratrabecular इधर ये जो trabeculae बनी हुई है bone की cortex की, I'll just use a blue color. यहाँ पे आपके होंगे myeloid precursors. Hematogones जो post chemotherapy आते हैं वो भी यहाँ पे ज्यादा दिखते हैं. So this is like a balance जो already created है, and this is how it has to be. When this gets disturbed, very commonly in post-infection, regenerating marrows, post-chemotherapy marrows, this balance gets disturbed, and then we have to mention that एक यहाँ पे ALIP का focus है. Again, I repeat the full form. Abnormal मतलब गलत, localization मतलब situation कहाँ located होना चाहिए, ऑफ इमैच्योर प्रिकर्सर्स, मतलब एरिथ्रॉइड मेग्स या माइलॉइड लिनिएज के प्रिकर्सर्स जहां होने चाहिए वहां नहीं, वहां से उनका प्लेसमेंट बिगड़ गया। कॉमनली एज आई हैव ऑलरेडी रिपीटेड, इन सब कंडीशन में जैसे पोस्ट कीमोथेरेपी है, रीजनरेशन है, पोस्ट इन्फेक्शन है, एमडीएस, एमडीएस का बहुत बड़ा फीचर होता है ये आपको मिलेगा। तो हाउ डू यू डिफरेंशिएट? देखो ये जितने भी माइलॉइड लिनेज के इमैच्योर प्रिकर्सर्स होते हैं, दीज वंस एक्चुअली, ठीक है, नॉट दीज वंस, ये सब आपको ट्रैबिक्यूली के पास मिलने चाहिए। दिस इज अ डाइंग मटेरियल, ऐसा पिंक नेक्रोटिक सा पड़ा है, एंड दीज आर मैच्योर माइलोसाइट्स, ठीक है, ये इमैच्योर है, ये मैच्योर है। टेल यू हाउ टू डिफरेंशिएट। जो एरिथ्रॉइड वाले होते हैं वो थोड़ा सा अंदर की तरफ होते हैं, मतलब ये देखिए ये अंदर की तरफ होंगे कहीं सेक्शन में। अच्छा, हमेशा याद रखिएगा ये टिश्यू है जो आप 2D में देख रहे हो, इमेजिन 3D में कर रहे हो। तो जब आपकी सेक्शन कट के आती है तो हो सकता है उस सेक्शन में वेसल ठीक से ना दिख रही हो, तो आपको लग रहा होगा कि एरिथ्रॉइड तो इंटरस्टिशियम में पड़ा है, लेकिन जब आप उसके और सेक्शंस कटाओगे तो कहीं ना कहीं वो वेसल आ जाएगी। तो रिपोर्टिंग हैज टू बी ऑन एन ओवरऑल पिक्चर, नॉट ऑन जस्ट वन पॉइंट। ओवरऑल देखना पड़ेगा कि कितना डिस्टर्ब है आपका मैरो का प्लेसमेंट, ठीक है। सपोजिंग यहाँ पे मैं छोटा सा एग्जांपल यहीं पे ले लेती हूँ, दिस इज द ट्रैबिक्यूली, राइट? Ideally, these cells should be near the trabeculae, but there is a space over here. Probably when you go down, ये cutting artifact है, जिस तरीके का कोर मिला हमें वो टेढ़ा मेढ़ा था। तो हमने जब कट किया तो एक प्लेन आया, और एक प्लेन जो नीचे था वो नहीं आया। सपोजिंग आपका कोर कभी परफेक्ट ये नहीं आएगा, टेढ़ा मेढ़ा कोर आता है ऐसे ऐसे। जब आप सेक्शन काटोगे तो ये प्लेन आ गया और ये प्लेन नहीं आया, तो ये प्लेन आपको गैप की तरह दिखेगा, बट एक्चुअली देयर इज बोन हियर आल्सो, ऐसा बात नहीं है। So all this has to be an estimation on a totality, not on just one specific point. Please do remember that before reporting. Okay. Then so you have to actually imagine कि अच्छा this is the trabeculae. There might be more trabeculae below this, and this is lying over here. So this is paratrabeculae. Similarly, you have supposing here I go and I just see कि interstitium है. Then I have to check all the 7-8 intertrabecular spaces कि कहीं vessel के आसपास दिख रहा है, because where will the vessel be? In the interstitium, right? It will not be in the air, it will not be in the bone. So if we have to see everything and then say हाँ यहाँ ALIP है कि नहीं, cutting artifact को ALIP नहीं समझ लेना है, ठीक है। So megs and erythroid will be around sinusoids, which sometimes might appear as just interstitium, and myeloid should be near the paratrabecular area. मेग्स अगर पैराट्रैबिकुलर में दिख रहे हैं या टू मेनी इमेच्योर फॉर्म्स दिख रहे हैं आपको, देन यू हैव टू थिंक कि नहीं यार ये कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं है। दिस इज एन एलिप, दिस इज अ मेग व्हिच इज टू नियर द फैट, यू डोंट सी अ वेसल एनीवेयर, यू जस्ट सी फैट। आसपास कहीं कोई वेसल नहीं, बिल्कुल फैट से चिपका हुआ मेग है। सो दिस इज एन एलिप। अनदर यू सी जस्ट नेक्स्ट टू फैट, तो कहीं जगह नहीं है कि ये वेसल के आसपास होगा। अगर सिर्फ इंटरस्टिशियम होती उसके आसपास नहीं होता तो वी कुड हैव given it a benefit of doubt, but यहाँ हम नहीं दे सकते। और if this यहाँ पे ये trabeculae दिख रही है, and what if it was here, then that is very clearly paratrabecular, then again an ALIP, okay? And never ever confuse ALIP with LAIP. Now LAIP is something that you see in residual diseases, MRD करते हैं minimal residual diseases में, and then you see an LAIP. And I'm going to deal with that when I'm taking a leukemia, not right now. Okay, so don't get confused by between the two terms. LAIP is something else, and this is ALIP. LAIP is this aberrant immature immunophenotype of the precursor. That is LAIP. ठीक है, वो अलग चीज है और ये अलग चीज है। Actually terms में लोग confuse होते हैं, इसलिए मैंने LAIP mention किया, otherwise I would not have mentioned. There's something called as LAIP. Don't get confused, but this is ALIP, abnormal localization of immature precursors, ठीक है। Now coming to the changes that you can see in the marrow, there are various, देखो you will see some changes in the hematopoietic lineage, and then you are going to see stromal changes. Hematopoietic lineage के disorders बहुत सारे हैं. There are acute leukemias, there are myeloproliferative neoplasms, there are lymphomas, there are plasma cells, cell neoplasm, histiocytic lesions, mast cell lesions, lymphomas from the lymphocytes, megakaryocytic lesions like ITP, also part of MDS, ET. So those I'm going to take one by one as I progress, as I start, starting from the erythroid, then coming to the myeloid, then coming to the megs, then to the histiocytes and the mast cells. That way. But right now, what I would so these things I I show you some pictures, I'll not show you some. But something that is very important is the stromal changes, जो कि people tend to overlook in a marrow. Should never do that, because stroma can point out to something very very important going on in the background. And I will give you an example of I think it was, yeah, two such cases that we faced, जहाँ स्ट्रोमा से हमने पकड़ी प्रॉब्लम, कि स्ट्रोमा भी सही नहीं लग रहा है, तो let us correlate and then give a diagnosis, and we were right. Okay, so first just see the changes. The stroma might have too much of fat, so it might have this serous mucinous kind of a background, degenerations. It might have this kind of an edema. ठीक है, स्पेस बहुत है सेल्स के बीच में, बेटर पिक्स आल्सो, आई प्रॉमिस, अभी इसको बस देख लो आप. इट कुड हैव दिस काइंड ऑफ अ फाइब्रोसिस. ठीक है, ऐसा लग रहा है वायर्ड थ्रेड लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स फॉर हिम. इट माइट हैव लॉट ऑफ पॉलीमॉर्फ्स, पार्ट ऑफ द नेक्रोसिस स्पेक्ट्रम. अगेन, all this is fibrosis in the reticulum stage. Fine, I have better pictures, so I'm not putting too much concentration. So what would have too much fat can be there. ठीक है, there can be necrosis of various types. Abhi I'll just tell you. Then there can be edema. Sorry, the writing is not very good. Fine, and then there can be fibrosis. Okay, all this you can get in the stroma. Again, too much fat, a group of necrotic cells. This is also necrosis with inflammation with some preserved hematopoietic area. Now see, these images are better. You see that this marrow has a lot of pink background, fat cells, hemorrhage, and very few hematopoietic cells. Now look at the texture of this pink. It is like, let me see, maybe colloid or the FNAC of the thyroid, या अगर layman terms में बोले, some sort of serous fluid हो जैसे. ठीक है, look at this pink. This is एकदम clumpy, and you can make out a ghost outline of maybe a cell with these RBCs over here. Hemorrhage. This is also necrosis. This is serous degeneration. And this is edema fluid. Pink, bright pink fluid, but preserved hematopoietic cells, congested vessels with hemorrhage. This is edema. Serous degeneration, the first picture, this one, you see in conditions जहाँ पे या तो सिवियर इन्फेक्शन हुआ था मैरो को कीमोथेरेपी मिली है, मैरो में मेटास्टेसिस हुई है, या कोई रिकवरी प्रोसेस में है. Serous degeneration can later on become completely pink and diffuse, and that is known as gelatinous transformation of the marrow. ऐसा लगेगा जैसे मैरो में जिलेटिन जैसा सब्सटेंस फैला हुआ है, पिंक कलर का, एकदम ब्राइट पिंक मटेरियल, and that will confuse you with amyloidosis. Amyloidosis, most important way of differentiating those two things is by using that apple green bifringence by polarized light, the staining, the bifringent staining. Secondly, amyloidosis vessels के around ज़्यादा मिलता है, local deposit ज़्यादा होता है. Clinical correlation में you might get some history of kidney damage, or maybe some sort of a paraproteinemia, or you'll get that history. Similarly, for gelatinous transformation, HIV में बहुत common होता है. You will get history of maybe post chemotherapy, of severe HIV infection, something like that. So any pink material you see, ना your brain should start working. ये pink material क्या है, उसको ignore नहीं करना. Even एक जगह भी तरह सा पड़ा हो तो उसको सोचो, because that by the time the second marrow comes to you might replace the entire marrow, and that is what happened with us actually. I'll tell you how. Edema most of the time happens when there is some sort of a process which is leading to too much vessel congestion, too much. This can happen in any of the processes. That there is a lot of bone marrow edema. Again, as I have already mentioned, उसमें ये भी मिल सकता है, chemo है, infection, etc. This is an important thing, bone marrow necrosis. Now, necrosis can be of multiple types. Okay, necrosis can be coagulative type, as I'm showing you right now. This you will get a ghost image of these cells. Now I'll tell you my experience. There was this case of a child who was of acute leukemia. he was in remission, and we got a marrow, and the retic came out. I somehow in that marrow the retic was 1.8%. Aspirate was fine. We got a very small area of some pink material in the aspirate, which was our mistake. We did not pay much attention to that. We could have a feeling that okay, the regeneration is not 100%, but we could see all the lineages, we could see a few meds. So we thought of giving it as remission, and the biopsy was awaited. We gave it marrow in remission. The case was, I think, in AML, okay, acute myeloid leukemia. Now what happened was, when the biopsy came, the entire biopsy had at least 3-4 intertrabecular spaces where there was coagulated necrosis of the marrow, and I could see ghost outline of the cells, the blast cells. Now, one mistake that I had made then was, because some reason was there that the clinician needed a report quickly, I had not looked at the imprint smear. Had I on that very day looked at the imprint smear, the marrow had come to us quite late in the evening. Had I looked at the imprint smear, I would not have given that as a remission marrow. I quickly asked my technician to stain that imprint smear of that marrow, because the biopsy was showing necrosed blasts. Now the question arose, was it post-chemotherapy necrosis or were the blasts causing that necrosis? When I stained the imprint, I saw blasts as well as pink material in the imprint also, with a few meds. I really felt bad that why I didn't examine that imprint before. Anyways, moving on. Now we informed the clinician that no, wait, it was not a marrow in remission. When the blasts are there, you have more chances of having that ghost shadow kind of a necrosis. When it is a post-chemotherapy necrosis, it is more of a diffuse necrosis with pancytopenia, with marrow background edema, seals degeneration, and that granular substance all over the marrow. So basically, this marrow was not in remission. This was blasts causing, they were proliferating and dying, proliferating and dying. This was what was happening in the marrow, with very few patchy foci of hematopoietic cells which were trying to keep up. Well, the child couldn't survive after 6 months, and the prognosis was bad from before. The prognosis was explained to the parents. So that was a learning experience for me. And similarly, in my imprint lecture, I've again mentioned about a case where biopsy was awaited, and we could catch the case on imprint. And the biopsy showed fatty areas, gelatinous transformation, serous degeneration, and the marrow had no chemotherapy. The child was very young, had come to us, the marrow had just come, the child got admitted in the morning and the marrow came in the evening. And the child passed, the poor child died within a week. So you need to pay attention to this kind of a picture, because this can tell you something which you are missing. Okay. Now coming to some other things like METs, granulomas, parasites. Just want you to see these things. I'll discuss this whenever I take that disease up. How will you recognize METs? They can either be in clumps or clusters. Adeno का MET cluster में हो सकता है, squamous का है cluster में हो सकता है, or they can be singly lying cells. Like in this image you see signet ring जैसे cells दिख रहे हैं आपको, ये देख रहे हो. This was actually a adeno MET with vacuole in the cytoplasm, some sort of a signet ring colon carcinoma kind of thing. This is a granuloma, low power pe you can very easily catch. This not very clear, but here the MEGs are showing something in the cytoplasm. These are histoplasmosis and parasites. Alright, and I have taken up imprint smears to, I've taken up imprint smears to better tell you that how well you can catch the parasites. Okay. Again, this is blasts. You see MEGs, see I told you. People think blast है तो पूरा marrow replace हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होता है. You will get hematopoietic elements admixed with blast, and they give you a big problem time. You have to really use all your concentration to examine, yes, these are blasts. You can see that the cells are big, have high NC ratio. Although there are MEGs, some are these giant kind of MEGs with disperses, very small nucleus. So this is how you see a marrow, and then this is how we report these things. We report in a marrow. This is given in textbooks. I had shown you reticulin fibrosis, those brownish silver colored fibers of reticulin. This is the staining scoring pattern that we use in regular marrows. And if we are suspecting PMF, then I use the other one, that is the Thiel method. Okay. Normally, the marrow should not be showing too much of reticulin, just some splittering and splattering here and there. However, if you see some sort of fibrosis, then you have to grade them and mention that it is Baumeister that you're using or Thiel that you're using, and you have to report it. Very commonly used in the MPN spectrum, or drug induced, or aplastic anemia. I mean, where there's hypoplastic picture. You have to mention these things, okay? A way of remembering this for me at least is, क्योंकि ये रटा नहीं जाते, सामने रखा रहता है. Grade 2 से fibers का intersection दिखता है. Supposing this is the bony trabeculae, and I use green for the fibers. So you can see थोड़ा fiber यहाँ, कुछ fiber यहाँ, some fiber here. So this is around grade 1. If you see very few fibers, just एक दो, supposing I delete this one. This could be grade 0. However, if you see some sort of intersecting fibers like this, then this is grade 2 and above. Then you can go on the look at the book and see कि कौन सा actual grade है, ठीक है? One of the most, I have shown you a lot of pitfalls. I have shown you parasites. मैंने पहले भी discuss किए lectures में कि parasites कैसे mimic कर सकते हैं relatives को and all that. Hemophagocytosis में कैसे problem होती है. The biggest pitfall on a biopsy is a megaloblast, B12 deficiency, mimicking a blast. This is the picture. See, this is not a blast. You see a nucleoli, you see a big cell, opened up chromatin, and you see this is an actual blast. The picture might not be very good. Okay? I show you how, this is how I differentiate. एक तो a cell is recognized by the company it keeps is a very famous quoting always taught to me by one of my professors in when I was with my MD, and I really loved what he said. Cell को के एक cell को देख के आप don't get confused. Just see the surrounding also, because sometimes the morphology confuses, and then that becomes a problem. So if you see megaloblasts, you see hypersegmented polymorphs, you see giant metamyelocytes, some disperses, and the CBC is fine. There's no lymph node. Then that cannot be a blast. You know? So many blasts and everything is normal, except that sometimes B12 causes pancytopenia also. तो मैंने CBC के लेक्चर में सिखाया था blast कैसे ग्राफ में पकड़ते हैं. You don't see a graph. You don't see blast in peripheral smear. There might be a leukoerythroblastic picture. Sometimes, very rarely, there might be spleen also very rarely in B12. See, you see how confusing these things are. But majority में नहीं होता है. There might be pancytopenia. The MCV could be very high. Hypersegmented polymorphs मिलेंगे, ovalocytes मिलेंगे, macrocytes मिलेंगे, dispersis मिलेगी. उतना कोई organomegaly नहीं है. बच्चा otherwise fine है. Anemia biggest problem है. You avoid giving it as a blast. But you see hepatosplenomegaly है, lymph node है, severely reduced pancytopenia है, MCV में भी उतना बड़ा नहीं है, hypersegmented polymorphs उतने नहीं है, could be a blast. Of course, flow and IHC is there, but as a morphologist, how you are going to catch? Normally, a megaloblast has linear nuclei, and sometimes could be multiple. Very rarely, but linear. Now you see ये linear तो नहीं है, ये तो गोल है. हाँ ये गोल है, because again this is a 2D structure. Please imagine in 3D. अगर ये 3D structure होता और मैं इसको यहाँ से काट दूँ या यहाँ से section काटूँ, तो ये तो आपको डॉट की तरह ही नजर आएगा ना, ये वाला surface. बस ये चीज है. See, this is somewhat linear. ठीक है, I'll try and see. This is somewhat linear over here. ठीक है, अब ये गोल कटा. But these are not blasts. In the chromatin opened up जरूर है, but more like a chhanni, like a cribriform, not like a blast. Okay, and then of course you have to see the surroundings. However, in a blast, you see that there might be 2 to 3 nuclei. मुझे I don't know, I shouldn't be calling it that, ये कहीं book में नहीं लिखा है, it's my personal practical experience. I always find it to be have that kind of a margination kind of a look जो HSV के infection में मिलता है. That kind of nuclear margination दिखती है. And they will be not interspersed with a lot of normal cells, and most of the time they are in sheets. So you have to look at the color, you have to look at the surrounding cells, and you have to actually examine it very carefully. And dhire dhire, and there might be nuclear cleaving, clefting, cytoplasmic granules, our rods, all these things can be there. So this is something that you learn with experience, but this is one of the biggest pitfalls in the bone marrow examination. You can also see parvovirus infection. I've taken it. You see this inclusion over here? There's not too much dog earring, but there are some vacuoles and there are side internuclear inclusions. This can appear as another megaloblast or a blast in the PS, in the bone marrow biopsy. Excuse me. You will again have to go through the same process of seeing the accompanying cells, seeing कि क्या mature erythroid precursors reduced थे marrow में, क्या anemia था, refractory anemia था, क्या infection की कोई history है, is the dog earring, aspirates में क्या inclusions दिख रहे थे, and then correlate. This will also confuse you with autoimmune lymphoproliferative disorders. EBV infection में cells Hodgkin's की तरह दिखने लगते हैं, and they are actually just erythroid lineage cells. I have faced that problem. That I got a case where I thought that they could be Hodgkin cells. The background was reactive. There was some fibrosis. And I had to give it suspicious, and it came out to be nothing but EBV infection. Of course, EBV could have, and it was a pediatric case. So I'm happy that I gave that, I mentioned as a rider that rule out viral infection EBV. But I was happy that I gave it a suspicious diagnosis, because then the viral profile might not have been performed. Because EBV in children or even sometimes adults can lead to lymphomas. So something which is an autoimmune lymphoproliferative problem right now in the bone marrow as a primary can become a full-blown lymphoma in the future. And the clinical presentation of the child was such, for 8 months she was not responding to any treatment. Her anemia was persisting. Her pancytopenia was not exactly pancytopenia, mild pancytopenia. Her anemia was persisting. She had eosinophilia, she had neutrophilia, she had monocytosis, all features of Hodgkin's on the CBC. Okay. Sometimes you will get hemophagocytosis, I've already shown. Special stain where you can see these kind of structures, and all this is fungal infiltration, commonly seen in immunocompromised marrows, in HIV, etc. Okay, that is just a special stain of parvo. Very important recent coming up is hematogones. When a marrow is recovering from an infection and injury or post-chemotherapy, or from a metastatic post-chemotherapy, it forms some immature precursors. They are commonly seen in the paratrabecular area, can be seen in interstitium, but they are immature and they very commonly mimic blasts. They have high NC ratio, very little cytoplasm. You can see this, and very rarely can come out in the peripheral smear and mimic blasts again. Commonly seen in BALL in children, in neonatal marrow, very commonly seen because the marrow is still growing and generating. So here you see high NC ratio. You will think this is a blast and nothing else. Look at this thing. Okay. You will think all this is blast. Mononuclear barasa. How to differentiate between a hematogone and a blast? There are techniques present on the flow and IHC to do it. However, morphologically, a hematogone has a very high NC ratio, very dense blue hyperchromatic nucleus, and in 99 or 95% of cases, you will not see a nucleoli. You will not see a cytoplasmic vacuole. Cytoplasmic vacuole you will not see. Sometimes you might confuse with it could be a nucleoli due to the staining technique. But it is a cell with high NC ratio, very large cell without any nucleoli, is a hematogone. Don't report it as a blast. If you feel that there are hematogones, you can ask the clinician to go for a flow for MRD status, But if you're sure everything is fine, the CBC is recovering fine. In the paratrabecular seams, you see a few blast-like cells without nucleoli. They are hematogones. This is just a recovering marrow. Please don't get confused and get scared by seeing that. On flow, you have to see these markers. When the first stage occurs, there is CD34. Then these early markers in the early hematogones. Finally, these markers in the late hematogones, and then it forms a mature vessel. फ्लो साइटोमेट्री में इट इज अ waterfall pattern और a J pattern जो कि इन markers को detect करके हमें देखना होता है. I'll take that sometime later. But morphologically, don't get confused with large dark blue cells mimicking blasts without nucleoli. They are just hematogones. Don't report them as blasts. Okay. Do read this paper. That image has been taken from that paper. A wonderful paper. I have. It is in SciMed Central JSM Bone Marrow Research. Mal Ale et al. Have written this paper. So please go and do read this, and you will understand what a hematogone is. So there's a lot of things that you have to and you will be seeing in a bone marrow. I already said I've not taken each and individual erythroid thing, but I am going to take that as I move ahead. A few things I would like to enumerate. MEGs I have shown you how they look. Myeloid I have shown you how they look. Normal myeloid. Polymorphs जैसे ही दिखेंगे जैसे टिश्यू में दिखते हैं. Erythroid and lymphocytes. Late normoblasts और lymphocytes आपको कंफ्यूज करते हैं प्लास्टिक अनीमिया में. प्लास्टिक अनीमिया में कई बार आप कंफ्यूज होते हैं कि एरिथ्रॉइड है कि लिम्फोसाइट है. उसमें फैट बहुत होता है प्लास्टिक अनीमिया में. The erythroid cells in a biopsy will always have a halo around the nucleus. ठीक है, ये न्यूक्लियस होगा उनके अराउंड एक हैलो होगा, वो बायोप्सी में दिखेगा बहुत क्लियरली. और साइटो और लिम्फोसाइट बस एक ब्लू डॉट की तरह. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि पूरी की पूरी मैरो में सिर्फ लिम्फोइड फॉलिकल्स मिल रहे होते हैं प्लास्टिक अनीमिया में. दोज आर नॉट काउंटेड एज हेमाटोपोइटिक एलिमेंट्स. Hence the marrow cellularity and और कुछ नहीं दिख रहा होता है, एरिथ्रॉइड नहीं दिख रहा होता, मैग नहीं दिख रहा, फैट दिख रहा होता है. So that is a marrow cellularity of less than 20% even when you have lymphoid cells because they are not forming the entire hematopoietic spectrum. They are generating from whatever myeloid cells का जो एक spectrum था, they are not actual precursor cells. And you get a lot of plasma cells. In aplastic तो वो तो fine, you can see very easily half दिखता है as I've already discussed. Nothing much in that. Other things, the bony changes in the now you know what I'm going to do is take them chapter wise. So bony changes में क्या क्या देखा, how to not confuse, myeloid lineage के क्या क्या diseases होते हैं, where you get confused, how to not confuse. I'm going to take that as I move ahead, starting from the RBCs, the erythroid. I'll be starting with the anemias, and from now on I'll be alternating one hemat and one cytopathology tutorial. Again, only dealing with pitfalls, with a very little intro of the general picture. So from now on, my lecture would be alternating between hematology and cytopathology. And once I finish with maybe cyto, I can start with histo. Alright, this is how I've planned to do. So this was just a general overview and some very common points from the bone marrow biopsy. I'll take more. These are my references. I'll keep taking more topics, and there are things I might have missed which I'll cover there. There are no financial interests when I am uploading this video, and the images used were not mine. I have already given my references. So thank you so much, and please, I hope you find this this is a bit long. I knew this video would be long, and please see, share, and subscribe if you like the lecture. And I'm open to any sort of comment or suggestion that you have. It is most welcome. So thank you, and I hope this was helpful.